Alrighty, hosses, welcome back. And in the last tutorial, what we did is we made a really basic tree view. It kind of looks like a simple spreadsheet program right now. And I mean, this thing is pretty boring. I mean, you can't sort it, you can't, interact with it, you can't edit it. So in this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a couple things. First of all, how you can make those columns sortable, which is the easiest thing ever. And also how you can handle callbacks. In other words, handle user interaction, so whenever they select a row, something happens. So this is all the code from the last tutorial. I just took all the comments out since it was kind of cluttered. Oh, whoa, Bessie. Wow, that's embarrassing. All right. So right in your loop, whenever you create the columns, what you can do is I'll show you the code to make them sortable. So for each column, what you do is you actually set sort column ID and you just pass it in the ID of that specific column, which is, remember, I. So actually we can just run this right now and check it out. So that way, before we couldn't sort them, but now if you click at the top of any column, then it orders. So if the column is just regular text like letters, then it orders it alphabetically, and any integers it orders it numerically, so on and so forth. So that was the easiest thing we've ever done. And now let me tighten this up and let me move this right here. Sound like my code all cluttered. Alright. So now we got some cool columns that we can sort, but we still can't handle user interaction. In other words, whenever a user clicks one of these rows, nothing happens. So it's just, data that they can look at right now. Well, anytime you want to handle user interaction, then this is what you do. Say handle selection. Good enough. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get whatever row the user selected. So in order to do that, for your tree view, all you call is get selection. So this is going to return whatever row they selected, either this one or this one, whatever. So from there, we can connect a callback method. So selected row, and I'll just connect the change signal, and we'll just call like self item selected. Alright, so the change signal, of course, is a signal that gets emitted whenever the user selects, or in other words, changes a row. And also, a kind of weird thing to note, whenever your program first starts out, I'll show you guys this. And, well, I can't show you because my code's not complete. I didn't create this function. But whenever your program first starts out, the first row is selected by default. So this signal gets emitted right away. So just keep note of that. If you notice that something weird's going on in your program and you didn't call it specifically, it's going to call this method essentially as soon as your program first boots up. So now we said whenever the user selects a row, call this method. So now I have to create that method. Alright, so say user selected a row. Toe. User selected his toe. Alright, so def item selected, and we need pass it in self and selection. Now the selection, of course, is just going to be a reference to that row. And here, let me do this. Selection get selected. Alright, so essentially your selection is broken up into two parts: the model, which is the entire data model, and the row, which is a reference to that row. So with those two pieces of information, we can pretty much pull out whatever they selected really easily. So if row is not none, and this is just so we don't get any weird bugs, then we can just print out their information. So name. And in order to access a specific column, or let's say they selected this row, but we only want to access like their name or their age and do something with it, then what we do is this. We call model, which is the data model, and the row, and what value this is doesn't matter. I mean, we never know explicitly, is it row 10, 13, we just pass in row and it takes care of it, and 0. So remember, 0 is essentially the first column, 1 is the second one, and 2 is the third column, or their profession. So let me just copy this and just print out name, age, job, and blank. Alright, so their name is 0, age is 1, job is 2, and I'm just going to print a blank line. So looking sweet, check it out. And it's trying to print out an integer, so I can actually do this. Do it the real lazy way. So if you're ever trying to print out an integer and it gives you this error message, type error can't convert int to string implicitly, you can either print it out like this, or what you can do is you can do this. Just type str and then throw your integer in there, and it's going to take that integer and convert it to a string. So, you know, whatever you want to do. So now, hopefully, check this out. So you know what I was saying before, that whenever your program first boots up, it selects the first row by default. So that's why this printed it out right here before we even clicked anything inside the program. And now what I can do is I can just start clicking these and they print out. So boom, and it prints out however you formatted it. Or maybe you don't want to print something out. Maybe you want to, you know, start downloading something or start sending messages to whatever your program does. And also, check this out. It doesn't matter if we, you know, sort these however we want. All of the IDs, they never get messed up. Bucky Roberts still prints out properly. Emma Anderson, looking good. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is not only how you make a tree view, but the model behind it, which is the list store, and how everything is automatically connected. All the hard work is taken care of. And it's also how you can, you know, make your column sortable, select, you know, handle the user selection, and it's pretty awesome. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be covering something else. I'm sure you guys are getting kind of tired of tree views, but for now, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.